Welcome to episode 26 of the Wasting Time podcast. I am one of your hosts, Chris, and I'm here with Nick. Hello, Nick.
Hi, mate. How's it going?
It's going good. How's it going with you?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Not too bad. I guess first thing really to talk about is catching up after Slam Dunk, really, isn't it?
Yeah, let's jump straight into that because we kind of set up last one as we're about to go to Slam Dunk and what we were expecting to see, etc., etc. So we might as well continue that.
Yeah, so I was at the Leeds one on the Saturday. Chris, you were at the one on the Sunday.
I was
had a bit of a different experience to me, though, right?
Yeah, I did. I'll start on the negatives. And anyone who was at Hatfield, I'm sure will relate to this. So, problem number one, they didn't have like phone masts. So once you get in, you didn't get any data or phone reception. And I was there with like 12 people, and like straight away we went in. It was staggered our entrances, and you just couldn't contact anyone. So to see any of your friends, you just have to hope you'd bump into them, which at a huge festival like that, you know, you weren't guaranteed. You know?
That was the same for Leeds, to be fair, but
was it?
You know, we were quite a small crowd, and obviously we didn't have to worry about that too much.
Did you all go and see the same things then?
Pretty much, yeah. A couple of us split off, but me and my brother kind of stayed together. But
right,
there was definitely no contact with the outside world outside of that festival. Put it that way. But other than that, the Leeds one wasn't too bad. I mean,
was it
for crowd wise? I mean, we heard that they were still selling tickets in the morning. So obviously hadn't been kind of sold out.
Right.
It wasn't too bad for getting drinks and what have you. But
it was a nightmare at Hatfield. Yeah. It was, you'd just be queuing for ages and ages. So, but you know, those are the negatives. But aside from that, obviously, as was expected, saw some good bands play. So, talk me through what you saw.
Yeah. So I started the day with Ryan Key, which was great. So we fully expected to have a long wait to get our wristbands to get in and miss him, but actually we just flew through the gates and caught pretty much all of his set, which was good because he played.
Was that good?
Yeah, he played mostly Yellow Card songs which is good because I don't really rate his solo stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Let's hope we don't have him on as a guest.
It's not beyond the realms of possibility, mate. You're just going to have to be honest.
So yeah, we did that. Went to see Anti-Flag, who were outstanding. They didn't play much from the new record, which was a bit disappointing because I really love that newer record of theirs.
Yeah, as we discussed with our last guest.
Yeah, but you know, as a live band, they were awesome. Loads of energy. The crowd were awesome, massive circle pits. So did that. Then held up at the Punk and Drublic stage for Interrupters, who were pretty faultless. Enjoyed their set from start to finish. And then we was kind of hanging about a bit before the Get Up Kids. Our Get Up Kids were on my list kind of well before the festival.
Right.
Got dragged to Busted for a little bit.
Did you?
To kill some time.
How was that?
It was. We were right at the side of the tent, so they're in the big tent. I don't know if they're in the big tent for you guys, but
they were. I didn't go and watch them, but they were.
Yeah. Well, the big tent had two like big stages in it, so we were kind of right at the side of that tent, and you could barely see the kind of front of the stage was at the far right. Because we were like to the left of the tent, so it was a bit of a nightmare for view. But you know, they sounded all right. So yeah, it was just killing time really before the Get Up Kids. Saw all of their set. Again, like Anti-Flag, I was a bit disappointed with their set list. I mean, Get Up Kids have got some classics, which I think they missed off. But still, it was great to see them putting a good show. After that, it was Simple Plan, which ties in nicely with this episode because we've got Sebastien of Simple Plan on the podcast talking about his Slam Dunk experience. But yeah, I mean, yeah, they were good.
What do you think of them?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. You know what you're getting with a Simple Plan. I think really,
Right. Yeah.
it was definitely my poppier part of the day, coming from Anti-Flag and Interrupters, and yeah. So after that, I kind of had to go and get a fill of some Millencolin and Less Than Jake to punk it up a bit more, before taking it back to the poppiness of Newfound Glory, which was just brilliant. I mean, they always bring it, Newfound Glory. They did This Is Me and a Let It Go from Screen to Stereo, which I know we talked about before.
Yeah.
Actually, I did 4 tracks off the off that new Screen to Stereo. So they did Eye of the Tiger,
same.
Power of Love, This Is Me, and Let It Go. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just solid, aren't they? You know, they rarely let you down. And then I did the Menzingers, which at which point I was cold and wet because it had pissed it down. So I was just generally a bit miserable at that point. And then I took it down for a bit of NoFX. The plan was to just finish up with NoFX, but I just got a bit fed up with Fat Mike and El Jefe's kind of comedy stand-up show.
Yeah.
So kind of walked back towards the main stage, which was All Time Low, knowing that it was kind of close to the exit as well. So so kind of wandered back up there and watched kind of All Time Low, which, to be fair, didn't really recognise any of their songs because it was all new stuff, until they finished on Dear Maria.
I see.
Which obviously was a nice little finish because it's my little brother's favourite song as well. So it was a nice end. How about you?
I'll take you through it real quick. I actually saw less things than you, so it will not take long. Started with Anti-Flag. We went up there a bit later. We were going to go and watch Ryan Key, but we ended up going later. Anti-Flag, which, like yourself, really enjoyed it. So they opened with Die for the Government, which was amazing. Circle Pits, etc. It's good. And then, again, like yourself, had a break and then waited for the Interrupters, who I'd never seen before. And I would have liked a bit more off their last album, but aside from that, it was awesome. Really good live set. Then the timings were slightly different at R1. So Millencolin was next for us. So I watched Millencolin on that stage, but I didn't watch all of their set because I really wanted to see Simple Plan. So, and it was a bit of a walk to the main stage. So I only watched about 10-15 minutes of Millencolin to get there, and plenty of time for Simple Plan, who were really good at the Hatfield one. Like a bunch of my friends who either didn't like them or weren't interested in them, like went away saying it was their band of the day and stuff. So they were really put on the show.
And you're not just saying that because we've got the guy.
I'm not just saying that because the guy's on this episode. No. And then we went and watched a bit of Less Than Jake, which was cool. And then Newfound Glory, which I could describe in a similar way to you did. It was great set. And then we'd lost a bunch of people who we were there with, who I know stayed for other stuff. But me and a few people, we left after Newfound Glory. I did want to see Menzingers an all-time low, but we were just so knackered and pissed off with like some of the poor organisation of the festival, and just wanted to get back to London.
You saying it was like 45 minutes to get a beer?
Yeah. And also Hatfield's quite far out of London as well, so just kind of wanted to get back to the city. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I've seen the Menzingers as much as I really, really like them. I've seen them so many times, and I would have liked to have seen All Time Low because I haven't seen them, but it was just too long until their set was beginning. That was my experience.
Maybe you need to come up and do the Leeds one. Have a bit of a road trip next time.
Yeah, that's an idea. That could be fun.
You know, they've moved it. They moved it this year from the kind of city venue into Temple Newsham Park, which was awesome, really, because it had a real kind of festival vibe. Loads of big stages. I think everyone was behind that. I think a few people mentioned that with it being out there, because the one in the city in Leeds in the city centre, people were able to just kind of go to the local, leave the festival, go to the local shop, buy buy a couple of cans for a couple of quid, neck them and go back in. So yeah, that was obviously one of the downsides, but overall I think it was brilliant.
Cool. Yeah, maybe that's an idea for next year. On other subjects, is there any like new music that's caught your eye recently?
Not really, man. I've been like super busy, bit out of the loop. So yeah, I'm relying on you.
Okay, yeah, no, I assumed you hadn't had a chance yet, but we very kindly got sent that advance of the Dolly Rots new album.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've listened to them much in the past, but so their new album's coming out in mid-July, and I've been enjoying it, but I'll tell you what, I'll give you a chance to listen, because with it coming out in mid-July, we've still got time to talk about it before it comes out. So
cool.
So we can get into that, but
check
it's to give you a spoiler. It's a fun record.
Cool. Just on the subject of female kind of punk rock bands.
Yeah.
I feel bad slating them, but I did actually, on the way to the Punk Drublic stage to see Anti-Flag, I caught some of the Bum Pops.
You weren't keen.
They were terrible, man. They were
really?
The sloppiest band I've ever heard, like live, just all over the place. I don't know if they were maybe a bit intoxicated, possibly.
Okay.
But if they weren't intoxicated, they're not.
Oh
very
shit!
good.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think they were just finishing up when we were arriving, so I didn't get to see them properly, because I like a bunch of their songs, but I did have your review, because obviously it was the day before for you in my head, so I wasn't rushing to catch them based on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've checked out some of the tracks and quite like them, but as a live band, they were all over the shop. Yeah, it was a bit like, well, what are these guys doing here?
I also want to say real quick that I don't know if anyone's noticed, but we've had a lack of female guests on this podcast recently. I mean, we've had a couple earlier on, like Nicola from Doe and Phoebe from the Happy Accidents, but we want to balance that out a little bit. So just
you're concerned about our kind of diversity reach.
Well, yeah. I think it's good to be conscious of that kind of stuff,
Yeah, so hopefully we can nail something down with the Dolly Rots, maybe. So
yeah, well, we're talking to their publicist, so yeah, that hopefully will happen in the next couple of months. One other thing I checked. No, I thought of two new music releases that have come out recently that I wanted to mention. One was, do you remember Josh Madden was talking about that band called Honey, like Hunny?
Yep.
They've got an album coming out next month, but on Apple Music I saw a couple of songs were available, and there's one called Saturday Night that's really, really cool. I think you'd really like it, I'd recommend checking it out.
Cool, nice, nice, I will.
And the other thing that came out was the full length by, I don't know if you know them, but there's a band called Carousel Kings, who are very sort of, textbook pop punk, but it's got some cool songs on it. So I would recommend that as well.
Nice, cool. I'll get into it.
Nice.
Okay, well, I guess we should just get into it with our guest then, if that's all right with you, Chris.
Yeah, man, let's do it.
Yeah, cool. So we're very lucky to get Sebastien from Simple Plan on for an interview. Very kind to give us his time. Here it is.
Okay, so we are joined on the line all the way from Montreal by Mr. Sebastien. Is it Lefebvre? Am I pronouncing your surname right there?
Lefebvre, yeah, I guess. How's it going, guys? You all right?
Good, man. Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, it's going good, yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
So you were just telling us you just finished recording an episode of Man of the Hour, which is your Idobi show, right? Is that?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Have you just come back from hiatus, or is it season break or something?
Season break, we first started doing the show, 12 or 13 years ago, and for some reason, I guess we were really into TV shows back then. After 10 episodes, we started calling it a season. And then, so now it means that it's season 29 that we just started.
Oh, wow, okay.
That is June 5th episode. So that's the season premiere for season 29, which happens to be my birthday. So I am 38 years old now.
Happy birthday for tomorrow. Yeah, I saw that. I watched your Instagram story, so I was going to wish you a happy birthday, but you got that in
cool.
first. But
Yeah, I did get there first, so I mean, next time maybe kind of just say it,
yeah,
So
that's true.
So for those of our listeners that don't know, what's that radio show about? What you cover on there?
Oh man, yeah, sure, okay. So the Man of the Hour show is basically myself and my buddy Patrick, who, if anybody is a Simple Plan super fan, knows that we invented vlogging. We are the band that invented video posts online. True story. We at least invented the word vlogging for sure. I promise you that we even had that on camera.
That's pretty huge.
And I know, and Patrick was the one that was basically traveling with us at all times, and we always understood how important it was to stay close to our fans, and pre-social media is when Simple Plan came out. So we wanted to have someone on tour with us that would update the website, and then we had our emails on the website to make sure that the fans could reach us, and we've always wanted to be accessible that way. So basically, Patrick was on tour with us for a really long time, and then when he stopped touring with the band Simple Plan about over 10 years ago now, him and I still got together to record this radio show that we had started, but also he ventured on to be one of Montreal's, and definitely one of French-speaking part of Canada, one of TV's personalities, most versatile one, because he's on radio, he's on TV, he's hosted talk shows, he's hosted game shows, he's doing it all. So it's me and him.
Wow.
We get in a room together, we play new music that we've just discovered, and we basically talk about whatever's been going on. So that's the Men of the Hour show for you. We've been doing that for 29 seasons now, and over 13 years.
Nice.
So
go on, Nick.
Chris.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about Patrick kind of, coming into, kind of work with your band on the social media side. I guess were you a bit ahead of the game in terms of that shift in terms of kind of music changing and in marketing and what have you? Were other bands around you kind of doing that, or they were looking at you and being like, oh yeah, you're a bit ahead of the curve?
Well, I'm assuming, and I'm not saying we were the first at all, but we were ahead of the curves. I'm sure a few bands were doing it as well, trying to host live, I don't know if you guys remember this, but live chats were a big thing, where you'd be hosted by, I don't know which website or whatever. It was like, okay, Simple Plan is going to be on today. And then people would ask questions, and then you'd actually be on the phone with someone and tell them the answer. And then they would be typing in the answer. It wasn't as fluid as social media now, but it definitely was something that was important to our band, to be accessible and to be in touch with our fans, because our fans are cool. They're just cool people that enjoy music, and we're just people that like making music. So I mean, no band would ever exist without fans, and it was very important for us to be the band that was always willing to give back to them, and also to be the band that was just kind of friends of everyone. So we just started doing that with our emails on the website, and just trying to make sure we hung out at merch every night after the show, and doing all that kind of stuff,
Cool.
Sorry, Nick, did you have a follow-up question there? Or?
Well, not really. I was keen to get into...
You look like you're going for one. Go on.
I was keen to get into some of the Slam Dunk stuff, really, Chris.
Okay. Yeah, we can dive straight into that. Yeah.
Yeah. So both me and Chris were at Slam Dunk. It was last weekend.
Why did you come and say hi?
Well, we were at separate Slam Dunks for a start. I was up at Leeds because I live in the north of England in Newcastle, so that was a close one for me.
Yeah, so of course, if you're at separate shows, there's no way one of you can come say hi on one day and then the other one on the other day. That is indeed impossible.
I have a legit excuse for this, because I did consider that, because I saw you had your signing tent slot, and I thought, that would be cool to go and say hello to him, and say, hey, what's up? We're talking next week and everything. But the signing tent, I think it clashed with another band I wanted to see, and as much as it would have been cool to spend some time in person with you,
It's a long-winded excuse, this, Chris.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that lineup was pretty spectacular. I'm sure you can appreciate that, Sebastian.
It was. I mean, it's kind of like... I wanted to say it's like its own version of Warped Tour, but something about the lineup this year of Slam Dunk was just that a little bit more special. It was like the 94 Warped Tour mixed in with like today's Warped Tour, even, you know? Like,
yeah, totally. And this was it was your first time there as well, unless I believe.
absolutely, which I'm very surprised, you know, like because it feels like Simple Plan and Slam Dunk would go like now that I know what it is,
sure.
it definitely goes hand in hand, you know. So I was kind of surprised that it was our first time, but I'm very happy we got to do it.
Cool. Did you check out many other bands? Obviously, there were quite a diverse range of, like you said, a diverse range of bands from different eras and kind of ages and different sets of fans. I guess really, you know, your old school punk rock fans, your pop punk guys, your younger crowds, your hardcore crowds.
Yeah, I mean, I did check out some bands. Hefe from NoFX has been a friend, like a pseudo friend, like someone you hang out with at a show type guy. But the NoFX camp has always been extremely nice to us. And then Hefe came to see us before the show. So, of course, we went to see their show after, NoFX being such a great influence in our punk rock upbringing. I saw a little bit of Lagwagon as well. I was walking on the grounds because it was big, you know, like big festival grounds. So I heard from afar. I heard Millencolin. I heard a bit of Bad Religion. I went to see my friend from Canada, Lights, when she was performing. I saw Newfound Glory, An All Time Low from the crowd, because it always sounds better when you're out front anyways, right? So I would just like go walk around, and I don't I don't want to be the guy that's trying to sneak and push people to watch the show from the side of the stage where it sounds like shit anyway. So I'd rather just go and walk and do my thing. So yeah, those are some of the bands that I saw over the couple of days that we were at Slam Dunk. But I mean, it's special just to be surrounded by all these people, and it's kind of it's always interesting to be in the middle of nowhere and then just still be a bunch of friends hanging out, you know.
Sure. I was just going to say on the subject of Hefe, I noticed he was on stage when I was at, like filming you guys on like his personal video camera, which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah, he's very cool. I think he also had he was with some friends that are fans of the band, so I mean, like, they were excited to meet us as well, and like, you know, he's a good guy.
Oh, that's ace. That's ace. Yeah. But yeah, no, I just want to say your set was you know, it wasn't the first time I've seen you over the years, but it was a really good set. I loved it, and in fact, I wanted to pass on a message from one of my buddies that I watched it with, because he was a bit like beforehand. He was like, "Yeah, Simple Plan. I like what they're trying to do, but they've never really had the songs for me. But if you're going, I'll go and watch them." And afterwards, he was just like, "That set just blew me away." So he texted me before and said, "Tell that guy that they converted me." So.
Oh, that's great.
So well done.
It's kind of interesting to see that he's not like one of the millions of people that have bought our albums, but you know, it's cool that now we got him, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all right.
Better late than never.
If we don't do it for him before, at least we're doing it for him now. No, I'm kidding.
I know.
No, that's awesome.
So
that's awesome
you can enjoy your birthday now.
Yes, there you go.
Cool. Well, I guess we wanted to. I mean, generally what we do with these podcasts and when we have our guests on, we kind of try to do things a little bit chronologically. It don't always work that way. But yeah, I guess we wanted to just kind of get an idea of how things started for you, kind of on a personal level, in terms of music and kind of getting into punk rock and getting into bands before Simple Plan, I guess. Was that quite early in life for you?
Yeah. Oh man, that's going to be a long story. I'll try to do my best. Well, basically. Well, nowadays that we've had a bit of success, the answer might be slightly different. But if you asked anyone of surrounding me when I was growing up and all that, the musician of the band was my brother. He is a great piano and keyboards player. He went to school, studied music and all that. And I was just kind of like the little brother that he actually showed me my first like power chords on guitar when I first showed interest for guitar. I mean, it's like I was always just like kind of listening to whatever music my brother was listening to, you know. Having an older brother does that, so I got into like Metallica and Pearl Jam and all that. And then it's when it's hard for me to remember. I think Smash by Offspring really did it for me musically, and then I was like, wow, I love this music. And then my brother's like, well, it's kind of easy on guitar. Like he's not a guitar player at all, but it's like, yeah, you like power chords, you know, and then you just two fingers and then you just move him around. I'm like, well, that's kind of neat. And my dad had a guitar. He used to play like just for fun around the house when we were younger. So I kind of borrowed his And then I started trying to figure out how to do these power chords, and I'm like, oh, I can play some Offspring. And then one of my friends was selling his old guitar, so I pretended I wanted to buy it. So I tried it out for a month before buying it, and I never ended up buying it, but at least I knew by then that I was actually something that I wanted to pursue, just playing guitar, never really wanting to be in bands. But then Offspring brought me into No Effects and Lagwagon and 10-Foot Pole and all that sort of like California punk rock that was
that
big in the mid 90s bands, and I got really into that, and that kind of became like my thing, because that's not what my brother liked, so it was the first music that I kind of discovered on my own that I liked. And then eventually on my birthday, I asked for a guitar, and then that was too big of a gift, so I promised I would mow the lawn for like 2 summers straight. So then my parents got me a guitar, and then I started playing. And then when you learn to play a few songs, automatically you think like, oh, I could do this, and I could write songs, and I could be in a band. So then you get with your friends, and then you kind of pretend you're in a band for a bit. And I mean, it's all just sort of, it was never really serious for me, although I was extremely passionate about it. Like, you never think you're a kid from Montreal, you never think you're gonna be in a band that can make a living off of that, like that never really crosses your mind at all. And then there was this band from the high school that I went to called Reset, which Pierre, our singer right now, and Chuck, our drummer right now, were in. They were in Reset. And I was just like, wow, they're just as good as all the other bands I know, like, why aren't they more popular? Why aren't they bigger? Blah, blah, blah. And I used to go to their show.
Were you friends with them at this point, or were they just like kids that you knew in high school?
It wasn't a really big high school. Like, there was about like 700 students there. So like, if you like punk rock, you kind of knew who else liked punk rock, like it was kind of like, it's not like everybody hung out together, but maybe you'd see someone at a show. And I live in the same neighborhood. My parents lived in the same neighborhood as Chuck's parents. So we knew each other from the neighborhood as well. Like, I remember for a couple years, because I used to take the train to go to high school. So let's say the train didn't start till mid-September, but then school had already started. Like, maybe my mom would give some of the neighborhood kids a ride to school, maybe his mom, or like maybe we just see each other on the bus on the way to school. So like, we were aware of each other, but I wouldn't say we're friends. But the first show I ever went to was a Reset show. So, fast forward a few years, Reset kind of falls apart. Then Chuck, our drummer, along with Jeff, who's our guitar player now, figure they want to start a new band. So they get together, and they start just like kind of writing instrumental riffs and just talking a lot. And still to this day, like Chuck and Jeff love to just talk and talk and talk. So they were talking a lot about like the concept of what the band should be, blah 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 blah. And they would have like these guitar players that they were kind of trying out. This Toronto guy, this other dude from Montreal, and then eventually my brother, who was best friends with Jeff at the time, kind of spoke in my favor. He's like, yo, my kid brother is getting pretty good, especially in the genre that you guys are doing. And I don't think they really were really considering me as someone that could actually be in the band, but being Chuck's close neighbor, because we lived in the same neighborhood, I could show up at rehearsals within 10 minutes on my rollerblades with my guitar on my back. So I think I ended up getting a spot in the band just because it was convenient.
Convenient.
That is not why I stayed. Sure, okay, I stayed because maybe I was good, but I got the sort of audition, or I got considered just out of conveniency because I lived right there. And then like eventually, just loving what we were doing. And then I think now it's like the 20th anniversary of Enema of the State. We can't. Nobody in this genre can ignore how massive, first of all, commercially massive and mainstream massive, but also just like how important at opening doors for the rest of the genre that album was. Like
100%,
I think Offspring crossing over into the mainstream was a big deal. Green Day Dookie crossing over into the mainstream was a big deal. But then when Blink did it, it finally was kind of like it was the perfect hybrid everybody was looking for, you know?
Yeah,
So-
and they just, that record just created a sound that hadn't really existed before. Obviously, it's, you know, you can, as you say, compare it to like Offspring and Green Day, but it definitely started a thing, Enema of the State, which bands like
it's
yourselves,
it
Go on.
wasn't alternative anymore, you know? It was pop music, but it was clearly immensely influenced by punk music. So I mean, it was the perfect hybrid. So when you hear that, and that's the type of music that you were already making in your basement, and then you hear that someone's actually successful at it, like, holy shit, maybe we do have a shot, you know, if our songs are good. And then came in the relationship with Mark that our drummer had nurtured over the years, because he had played some shows with them in Reset, and then, you know, Mark sings on our first album. And then Mark
that's
sings
how
on
that
our
link
first
came about.
that's kind of how that lead came about. And then they, you know, like when he heard I Do Anything, he said he loved the song. So when we asked him to sing, he kind of made a P Diddy of himself and just went for it. So it's kind of surreal, you know. And we, when the band hit 10 years, we released a book of the whole story of the band, and reading that book was just like, oh yeah, that's what happened. That's how it happened, because we were so young, and things were going so fast, you know, that it was very hard to realize, first of all, the importance of everything that was happening, but then also just, you know, like what and how lucky we were that these things were happening to us, you know?
I was about to say, well, I mean, was there like it doesn't sound like it, but was there a defining moment where you were like, oh shit, this is actually, we're quite a big deal now? Or were you just swept up in the kind of whirlwind and it just kept growing and growing and growing without you actually really kind of taking stock and being like, fuck?
Complete whirlwind. You know, I think the first and second album is just like a mesh of fun things that happened, you know. And I remember we used to have, this was pre-iPhone, you know, everybody connected all the time. Like Chuck was the only one with a really old BlackBerry, and like he'd get emails and be the one that replies to emails, like the manager inside the band type guy. And then like sometimes he'd sit us down on the bus and was like, okay guys, this is what's happening, you should be happy. And like he would tell us, you should be happy because this is a good thing, and if you don't know what this is a good thing, and you should be happy. And I just remember that sentence being very funny. But I think the one defining moment for me, which was super weird, and it's something that had never even crossed my mind, is when we finally stopped after the second album. And it's like, okay, maybe I should move out of my parents' house. And then I'm like, oh, you know, like I've managed to, because I've been living in my parents' house, I managed to put aside a little bit of money. So I'm like, oh shit, I can buy a place. Things must be good, you know. So I was just like, oh my god. Then?
What age were you then?
When I was 25, I think.
Okay.
I was like 24 or 25.
And up to that point, I guess you had just been touring loads, or
basically, yeah. Honestly, like I lived with my parents for a long time, just because it made more sense. You know, I was home for Like now we try to never leave for more than 4 weeks at a time, and we try to be home for at least 2 weeks between tours. But back then we could be gone for 3 months straight and come back to do laundry, literally, and be back out, you know? Yeah. I mean, when you're 21, it doesn't matter. And then, you know, not only are you having a great time, but there's nothing else waiting for you at home, really. You know, I mean, like, it's not like you have home responsibilities and things to do. Like, it's just like, no, like your thing is your band, and that's what we did, and it was great.
Yeah. It's good. I mean, obviously, I think when we've spoken to some guys on the podcast who, you know, been in bands over the years, and it's really touring that's kind of broken them down as a band, and you know, they've had to step away from it. And I guess there's a few bands making a comeback now who've had that break and are coming back after that, you know, a long hiatus. But you guys just seem to just, you know, truck on over the years and never stop. I mean, is there anything
without changing members as well?
Yeah, I mean, no, but it's interesting that you say that. But when we went off for the third album, first of all, at that point, like we had like some different relationship. People, like, you meet people, you get girlfriends. Some of us got married, some of us started having kids, and then we went at it after a tough period of writing, because the the music landscape was changing so much. You know, like it wasn't Blink 182 on the radio anymore. It was back to Justin Timberlake. You know, right before punk rock broke, Backstreet Boys and NSYNC ruled. Then punk rock broke over to the mainstream, and now it was back at that. So there was a lot of self-doubt and questioning as whether what we should do as a band. And I guess we started taking ourselves a little bit more seriously as people and as musicians and all that. But then we started touring and went at it as if we were 20. And then we basically burnt out within the first year and we had to stop touring. Right. That album came out. That album came out early 2008. And then by the end of 2008, like that album, like we were done. We had done the tour, we had gone everywhere, but we're like, we can't go back now. Like everybody was just like dead tired and kind of over it, you know, like that the whirlwind had lost we were out of the honeymoon phase, I guess, you know?
Yeah. And then I suppose, you had like, it was like another 3 years, I think, before you came back with another album. So did you keep yourself busy with other stuff? Because you did some solo stuff as well, didn't you? Like
I did. That was a little bit. That was more me like experimenting with just like recording and producing. Like I think like quickly into that, I realized I didn't want to be like just like a solo singer or whatever. I just like recording arranging songs, writing songs. So like I've kept doing that, but just with other artists. We had the radio show, but I think like so between the second and third album, there's 4 years, right? And that was when we started touring. That was just too much. Yeah. And then between the second and third, there's 3 years. But I think we also had a tedious writing session, but it's because I think we started at it kind of wrong. We're just like we started writing for the fourth album, like still trying to figure out where we wanted to go, and then halfway through the process, we're like, guys, let's just go back to having fun. You know, and then that's when we wrote Jet Lag and Summer Paradise and You Loser of the Year and all these cool like songs that were kind of like, okay, this is who we are, this is what we like to do, this is what we like to play live every night. Let's just go back to that. And then we just had but obviously with a modern twist, like the 2011 version of Simple Plan. So when that came out, like everybody was in good spirits, went back on the road, did Warped Tour, had a great time.
Cool. So what is kind of your kind of writing recording process as a band then, in terms of kind of roles you play and how it all comes together? Is it all hands on deck, or do you go away and bring little things to the table? And
I mean, Pierre and Chuck do most of the writing. They basically are the two that when they get together, it sounds like Simple Plan, you know. Okay. And then we'll just like kind of like jump in the studio when we feel like the demos are close enough. And then we'll jump in the studio and just make sure it sounds like a kick-ass album, and then pick our favorite parts, pick our favorite songs, and then if something doesn't work, then we'll spend more time on it. If something works, then we'll just do it more and more and more. So it's kind of like I mean, every album's kind of been slightly different, but I think that would be the general vibe.
Okay. Obviously, those two like will go and write with someone for a few days. Like, you know, I noticed they've been doing a bit of writing with that bloke from We the Kings. And is that something that you guys have been doing for a while? Obviously, outside of whoever's producing the record at the time, have you tried to bring in like other writers whose stuff you admire and stuff, or has that been more in the recent years that you've been trying to do that?
No, I feel like that's been happening since the third album. I think at some point you're just like, okay, like because there's always that uncertainty, right? And we are aware that we kind of have 1 foot in the pop world and 1 foot in the punk world. Like we're that awkward band that plays Warped Tour but plays Z100 radio show as well, you know? So, I mean, and it's not that you don't have inspiration anymore. That's not it. It's just that it's fun to bring in a different flavor when you've just been writing songs like the same people over and over and over, you know? And to be fair, I think like this band, like we've never just grabbed a song that someone wrote for us. Like that's just not who we are. And when we write with people, it's like 80% the song's finished, you know? It's like, hey, we have this idea, what do you think? And then you kind of just shape it with someone else's input type thing.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
So where are you with that new record then? Is it wrapped up, or are you still very much just...
No, we haven't started recording, but I feel like we're done writing. You know, like everything that's been coming out is good vibe. It's a very emotional album, but not like a dark album. It's just like, it makes you feel. It makes you feel, which is great,
Okay.
And I'm very much excited for it, and I think it's going to be a fan favorite. I actually basically know it's going to be a fan favorite. No, but I think it's an
Yeah.
album that feels important.
I was gonna say, Chris, have
Yeah,
you got
go
any
on.
kind of target dates for when you're looking to put that out? I know
Oh
obviously
no,
you're
not at all. We never talk dates. Oh no, because we never know. We never know. And then and then there's this whole joke with Simple Plan that whenever we say soon, it really doesn't mean anything. But I mean, soon means
Yeah.
as soon as we can. So as soon as we can
Yeah, sure.
means, I mean, it's either gonna, like, if we get in the studio this summer, hopefully it'll be the fall. If we can't get in the studio before the fall, then hopefully it'll be late fall, maybe. I don't know, but like we've been saying for a long time that we want to be quicker between albums, but
Yeah.
you want it to be good. So if it means
That's fair. Yeah.
we don't want a shit album quickly. We still want a good album, even if it's a few months late.
And do all that all in Montreal? And is that where your studio is?
Yeah, no, I mean that's where my studio is, but like I can't accommodate 7 band guys, so no,
Yeah.
we'll find a spot. You probably, depending what time of year it is, like we'll find a spot where the weather's nice and everybody can enjoy themselves.
Have you found a producer yet?
That is also something we're tossing up in the air because I think we're at a point where it's fun to work with different people.
Okay.
So possibly multiple people, possibly some of it we can
Nice.
do it ourselves
Nice.
and just get a great engineer that we love. I mean, so like there's so many options on the table right now that you can't quote me on any of them. Just that
Okay.
most of them are open.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. I was going to ask a question. Sorry, this is jumping back a little bit. Apologies for that. But I wanted to ask a question because I've heard you guys talk in the past about going back to the second album. Obviously, that's called "Still Not Getting Any," which, if I'm not mistaken, is like a reference to like how your band was received at the time, like with critics, etc. So I just want to ask a little bit about like how that felt and if that's changed at all over the years, and also alongside critics, like how other bands have kind of received you within. I'm doing air quotes here, the punk scene, So. Like if any not if any bands as well as critics have been a bit sort of snotty about what you do,
Yeah,
if
I
you've
mean,
experienced that at all.
I feel like that's just the type of band that we are, and that's what critics
Yeah.
are there for. Critics want to say something is shit, and critics, most like it's the most obscure bands or artists that nobody knows with the weirdest songs that always get the best reviews. So I mean,
Yeah.
we've never, like, although we, like, it would have been nice to be a band that gets a 5-star review. We've never expected it, and we never really cared. We've always been extremely more happy and proud to get a People's Choice Award. To know that our fans stand behind us, as opposed to someone we've never met that doesn't really get what we do and doesn't take into consideration how we are with our fans and how they are to us. So I mean, it's and that has changed. I think the first few times that we played Warped Tour, 2002, 2003, 2004, I mean, we were the band that, according to some, didn't fit there. According to others, it was great and all that. But like the past few times we've done Warped Tour, you've been to Warped Tour, so you know that the bands always watch from the stage, and the stage is full. Like the stage is always full. Like all our friends, they come see us. Everybody in bands that we've met throughout the years, they come see us on stage, and it's kind of like that's sort of like the. Sort of like a sign of respect on Warped Tour when you go and watch someone's set, and a lot of people show up for our set. So I mean,
That's
yes,
cool.
that has changed. Cool. Yes, that feels really good because to finally be sort of respected by your peers is important. To anyone and to any band, and to get there. Doesn't matter how late in our career is a good bonus. But I think that we're still just a people's band.
And have you noticed like a bit of a shift in, like you mentioned, like the Warped Tour crowds or whatever, who some of which were maybe not as receptive to you in the early days, like of people being a bit more open to it. The reason I ask this is like I'll give you an example. Like, so you got obviously Reading and Leeds Festival here, which I know you've played before. I remember watching Good Charlotte play there in the early 2000s on the main stage, and they were just getting bottled by loads of people who went. Like, the people who hated them outnumbered the people who, like myself, who were there to watch and enjoy them. And if you watch Good Charlotte at a festival like that now, they're really well received, you know. So I don't know. I don't know if there's been like a shift where people have become more open to like the poppier end of alternative music. I just like being an artist in a band like that. I just wonder if you've noticed that. Sorry.
Absolutely noticed that. I think the scene itself has widened. You know, I think that people that are listening to this type of music now maybe, you know, weren't as anchored in their principles when they were growing up and listening to only one style of music. You know, you can have someone go to the Bruno Mars show one night, and then Sleeping with Sirens the other night, and then go back to see Ed Sheeran, or like, oh my God, Backstreet Boys are making a reunion, and then let's go see, you know, Offspring, and then people don't care anymore. People just enjoy the good music, which is a massive shift from when we started.
Yeah, I think as well. I mean, music now is to younger generations is so much more accessible, you know, across all these platforms now. So I guess it's so easy to transition into different styles of music through Spotify or through Apple Music, and you know, it's I think it's really kind of really easy now for people to get to listen and to get into all sorts of different stuff.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what it is. You know, I mean, it's quite possible, but it seems that when I was growing up, if I was listening to punk rock, like, I probably wouldn't be listening to anything else. You know, and
sure.
if a band in a different genre came out with a good song, like, you kind of weren't really allowed to say it's a good song. You know, so it's so true. I don't know exactly what changed or why are people more open-minded, but I respect and appreciate it very much.
Of course. Yeah. So what kind of stuff? I mean, I guess you're most proud of then, on a kind of personal level. Like, is there any particular album that is your favorite? Is there any particular defining moment?
Your favorite's always the latest one. Yeah. It has to be. But I mean. The second, I mean, I think for me, something I'm proud of is the fact that we're still around, you know, still making music. That is rare. Original lineup as well. I mean, that's rarer.
Cool. It's impressive.
And you know, I think our fans still care. We still have extremely passionate fans. You know, like a lot of bands kind of carry on to have just like casual people that'll show up once in a while. Like, we know there's some faces that we would know we will see at every single show on a tour, and you know, that's special to us.
You got people all around the world as well, right? I mean, pretty global.
I mean, it's pretty crazy when you think about it, that you know, we can basically travel around the world and people will come and see us. I mean, it's crazy to think that I know my way around Tokyo, you know, like, I mean, there's all these things that are just like, you never think anything like that will become a part of what you do or who you are as a person, but it's just, you know, it's just how it is.
What would you say is the craziest country for fans?
Brazil, for sure. Yeah, for fans.
You guys have got a big following down there, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. They're amazing. Like, most of them are like just like good people that enjoy the music and truly come to the shows to have a good time. And then Brazilians, they'll like, because you can't just walk into a hotel unless you have a room, right? In Brazil, so some people will just rent out a room to be able to hang out in the lobby to make sure they see us if we come down. You know, like it's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's very cool.
So would presumably Brazil will be up with one of your favorite countries to play with it.
Yeah, I think Brazil, Japan, Canada. I mean, there's a lot of really, really fun places to tour, you know, around the world, Asia or Europe. I mean, Scandinavia. It's all fun for different reasons.
Have you got any really weird stories of fan stories? Any strange things that a fan's done for you? Apart from the generic stuff.
I mean, I always find tattoos very weird. Especially
Right,
like
yeah,
song lyrics. Okay, cool, I can get it, but like our signatures or our faces as a tattoo, to me, that's just always like, why would you do that? But, it's
Yeah.
cool. I love that you love the band so much that you would, but still, I don't understand.
Cool. Is there any stuff that you're into at the moment? Any bands you're listening to? Like,
Yeah, there's actually two albums that the latest Strumbrellas and the latest Judah and the Lion. I just think they're great songs, packed with emotion, and just it just feels it feels big. It feels like they were written to change people's lives. And that always is a quality I look for when I'm listening to different bands.
In terms of UK pop punk bands, is there any that are on your radar, or perhaps you've played with
Yes.
who stood out for you?
The Bottom Line. I mean, they've been our friends
Oh,
since
yeah.
we toured with them. They're a great bunch of guys, and I really like their energy, and I really like their songs.
cool. Well, I guess we don't want to take up too much of your time. I really appreciate the time you've given us. Is there anything else you can tell us that's kind of upcoming? Any news? Any Simple Plan stuff? Obviously we know a record's in the works, but
No, but I mean, there's anything else that we haven't talked about. We got a bunch of shows this summer. Obviously, we're coming back to the UK as soon as we have new music, and a lot of people that we've seen at the show, it's like, oh my God, you guys haven't been here in like 2-3 years. It's like, yeah, but that's the case for everywhere. Like we go somewhere once, and then we have the anniversary tour, which took us somewhere again, and then it's been a few years since we've been anywhere. Except from maybe like local shows that obviously being from here, there's like it's closer and it's easier, and we do that, and we could take a couple of days off from writing to do a show here or a benefit there.
Yeah.
But I mean, like people have to understand we're not neglecting you. We're just waiting for the new album to be out to come back to see you.
cool.
Do all you guys live in Montreal, or some of the guys?
No, only half of us.
To LA or anything? Okay.
Yeah, 2 of the guys went out to LA because that's where they met their wives. So I mean,
Fair. Okay.
Yeah, so there you go. You do that when that happens.
What kind of other stuff do you do with your spare time on your downtime away from tours and writing? Obviously, you got your radio show.
That's music. That's all I do.
Yeah.
I just write songs, and for different genres,
Living
different
the dream.
people, different artists. Yeah, I mean, spend time in my studio, spend time with my family. That's basically it.
All right, man. Well, we'll let you get on. Really appreciate the time you've given us. Good luck with everything, and we'll look forward to hearing that new record.
And happy birthday for tomorrow.
Oh, thanks
Time
very
of
much.
recording.
Yes.
Enjoy, man. Thanks again.
All right. Bye.
Cheers, buddy. Bye.
Thanks, buddy. Bye. Yeah, so that was our chat with Sebastien of Simple Plan. So big thanks to him for giving us his time. That was cool, I thought, Nick.
Yeah, nice guy. Who's next up anyway, Chris? We've got a few bookings coming up, haven't we?
We got a few bookings. I suppose if we're saying who they are on the podcast, I think
we'll say the next one at least.
We'll say the next one. I think I haven't got the list in front of me, but if I am not mistaken, we have Max Collins, who is the frontman for Eve 6, who are a band that you and I have loved over the years, and he was a big part of that whole early 2000s thing with touring with bands like Blink and Good Charlotte and all that kind of stuff. So. He's kindly agreed to give us some of his time, so really looking forward to meeting him over the phone.
Cool, nice. Well, I guess that just leaves us to kind of plug the podcast itself and just give a reminder to like and subscribe and follow us on social media, just so you can see all the updates of our guests coming on.
We have some really exciting guests coming on as well, like that we thought were out of our reach at this time. So watch out for that space.
Yeah, cool. And any shares are appreciated as well to help us build the podcast and hopefully get more guests on. Anyway, so.
All right. Okay. Until next time. See you later.
Cheers.